everyone! So today we're going to be talking about all of the updates from the CreepShow art and Emily Artful drama. So I purposely waited until Emily Artful responded to CreepShow's art video because I had a pretty strong feeling that would happen. People that are new to this channel won't know that I talk about things a little bit differently. It's more from a psychological perspective and why manipulative people engage in the behaviors that they engage in, and why that evokes certain responses from the people that they're trying to manipulate in some way. Just to kind of understand it from a different perspective and not just a back and forth like he said this and she said that and blah blah blah, because it gets very confusing. You'll probably notice this video is going to be a bit different than my previous videos because I would use lots of video examples from their videos, as in Emily Artful and CreepShow art, but they're just so freaking long and I work full time. I just don't have time to go through and timestamp everything, and it takes so long to edit these videos. This will just be a lot quicker and everyone has seen them, so I don't need to continuously kind of regurgitate loads of examples from the videos, which, you know, you can see in the majority of videos that do commentary. So I kind of want to stay away from that. So I'll talk about it more in generic terms and what kind of manipulative tactics might be happening. So we'll start off with CreepShow Art's response to Emily Artful's initial video. So what you'll probably notice is that if you did watch all of CreepShow Art's video, it's pretty confusing. There's like a lot of things in there, random here, there, he said, she said, there's this receipt over there that she said this and it was written down here and blah 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 blah, and it's just like what's going on, and it was really difficult to follow. And I was also a bit confused with Emily Artful's recent video in, I guess, the same kind of way. It's just talking about stuff that I guess to the listener is probably confusing because it didn't happen to us, but I think to them it makes a lot more sense because it's personal to them, you know what I mean? But there's a reason why that's happened, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing is CreepShow Art's response video, the 2-hour one, whatever it was. A good example of a manipulative tactic that can be seen throughout that is a thing called word salad. So word salad, put simply, is anything that is being used to divert your attention away from whatever the current topic or the problem or the issue is at stake. So from CreepShow Art's perspective, I would say the issue that was at stake when she made that video was that whole lol cow debacle, that basically that was her writing all of this shit about loads of other people and it being really abusive and, you know, I think racist and like homophobic and all sorts of bad things basically. So you'll notice in her actual video, of course, never once did she mention the lol cow issue or address it or, you know, say how the IP address somehow got mixed up, which is obviously impossible and didn't happen. It was clearly her. But in no way, in those whole 2 hours, she didn't find any time to speak about that. And that's a good example of total deflection through the use of word salad, because she just goes off on mad tangents about Emily from when she was 12 and when she did this, when she was, friggin' 14. And then she texts this guy who said to this other person that blah, blah, blah. And here's a snapshot from, it's just like nonsensical rubbish, really. But the whole point of it is to get the person that it's directed to then focus on that rubbish instead of what the original point or what the original problem was, which is basically what's happened, because is what I thought would happen. Emily Artful has now responded, and her video basically, although I think she didn't intend it to, I think she says it at the start, but it's basically it's like a tit for tat then, that she then is trying to defend herself and say, oh no, this is true or this isn't true or blah blah blah, I have this evidence, I have this here, there and there. So now she's on the defense for something that she shouldn't be on the defense for, because it's not what the original problem was. The original problem was the whole stalking issue. But I feel like she got like really distracted by the word salad, and that's why I found in her video there was a lot of kind of stuff that really I think, like, to a viewer, it didn't add anything to the conversation, because we all knew or we all had a good idea that, she wasn't lying and that she in that situation was the most genuine one. She didn't have to do that, but the point of the word salad is it made her feel like she had to do that because it's put her on the defensive. So it kind of did intended its purpose. It did what it was meant to do. And this is the thing with manipulative tactics like word salad. The person that it's directed towards feels this insatiable urge to confront the person or to defend themselves and, lay out the law of what isn't true. But again, that's just distraction from what the actual real problem is, because no matter what you do, no matter what you say, the manipulative person will always find some sort of problem or flaws, made up, whatever. There'll always be a critique of whatever you say. It doesn't matter what you say. I understand, because I've been in a situation like this before. In a romantic relationship with a manipulative person, you want to, when those manipulative tactics are done towards you, you want to defend yourself. You want to kind of like get your truth out there and defend your character. But it doesn't matter. It never ends well. The manipulative person doesn't care. They'll always be the one in the right and you will always be the one in the wrong. Do not get sucked in. That's the whole point of what they do. It's to get you sucked in. A lot of those manipulative tactics, that's what they involve. And then everyone forgets about what the main point was, and before you know it, you're saying sorry to the manipulative person, which is ridiculous, but that's actually what happens, and that's how powerful the manipulative tactics actually are. So no matter what you do not respond to a manipulative person, as hard as that seems in your personal life. If you get attacked, the best thing to do is just step back. If you have to contact them, say if you have kids together or something like that, or it's a family member, super minimal contact, and just don't engage with any of the stuff that they accused you of. And just know that you don't need to defend yourself to them. As long as you know what the truth is, then it doesn't matter. And that's easier said than done. I think often you need to experience that firsthand before you're able to actually kind of apply it, again. And I think it's a little bit unique in this context because Emily, she's not only trying to defend herself for herself, but she's trying to defend herself because it's on this massive public forum. So it's like, it's probably even extra motivating for her to have to, indirectly confront CreepShow to save her reputation and to make sure everyone is aware that she's not lying, even though we were all aware that she wasn't anyways, to the best of our knowledge with what we were presented in terms of information. So I can see why she'd want to respond, but it's very easy to get stuck down a rabbit hole of back and forth, because I think in her first video, I think she, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the end she says that, that's all, she doesn't want to talk about her anymore. I think she may have said this numerous times on different modes of communication, like as in via text on, can't remember what that commentary thing is on YouTube, on her page and on the video. But it's just so easy to get sucked into it, which is kind of what's happened. And she has said in her recent video that, again, that's the end of it. She's not going to contact her again, or talk about her again, I should say. So I really hope that is, that's what happens and she just leaves it at that, which again is very difficult because people innately, we want to defend ourselves, and that's what a manipulative person preys off. Because in the process of defending ourselves, their hope is to then pick apart that and make us seem like we're the bad guy, or we're the ones that are lying, or we're the manipulative ones. Another point that I wanted to bring up is something called fuel. So for a manipulative person, they basically survive off fuel. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that fuel can be positive and fuel can be negative. So this is received from people based on their interactions. And so say, for example, if you are in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, or a friendship, or a work relationship, whatever, in the first few weeks, few months, you will be the victim of love bombing. So you're going to get loads of affection, loads of praise, loads of love, care, whatever the context is appropriate for the relationship. But you will also be given, the manipulative person, fuel, and that would be kind of the reverse of what they're giving you, basically. So that would be positive fuel for them. However, whenever the love bombing period ends, because there's a certain cycle that happens where they idealize the person, which is the love bombing, and then they start to devalue the person, and then they eventually discard the person, and then it goes around and around and around in this triangle. They hoover them back up, love bombing again, or the idolized phase, and then again the same thing, they devalue and then they discard, then they find someone else, get bored of them, and then back to hoovering this other person, and around it goes like a crazy merry-go-round. But in the other stages, so say in the devalue stage and even in the discard phase, when you're having those altercations or, you know, being accused of crazy shit that you've never done because of projection or God knows what other manipulative tactics the manipulative person is using, when you're defending yourself and when you're, you know, having an argument, that's negative fuel. So that's still a form of fuel. It doesn't matter that it's not like as, you know, not good as we would see it. Like we wouldn't usually enjoy that type of attention, but it doesn't matter for a manipulative person. That's still attention. So it doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to be taken. And that's why I think people don't understand that with CreepShow and her response video to Emily's original one. Everyone was like, oh no, like, you know, you're really shit, everyone sees you for who you are and blah blah blah, and you know, but it doesn't matter because to her that's still fuel. So it doesn't, like, that doesn't have an effect. Well, it actually does have an effect. It's a good effect because she's still getting fuel. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. I think people presume she'll just scurry off into the undergrowth, but that's not how it works with the manipulative person. With the manipulative person, everything's about them. Everything's about them. So whether it's positive, whether it's negative, if you're having an altercation with them, an argument, whatever, that's still about them. So even verbal abuse, which Shannon would have definitely been getting after her video, it's still fuel. So it's still about her. So as long as the attention is focused on the manipulative person, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So sorry if that was a bit repetitive, but I really wanted to try to kind of get that point across. If you don't really know like the ins and outs of those types of people, it's difficult to kind of wrap your head around that, because for most people, like I said, that negative, you know, type of fuel would be aversive. We wouldn't want that, you know what I mean? It wouldn't fulfill us. CreepShow's video was also a really good example of something called the smear campaign. So the smear campaign, its sole purpose, it basically says what it does in the tin, it's trying to tear someone's reputation to pieces via any mode. So it's through, you know, friends, through family, it might be phone calls, texts, on the internet, social media, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's trying to ruin the reputation of a person so they lose all credibility. And they're seen as the ones that are, you know, untrustworthy, and they're the ones that are in the wrong. They're the ones that are these horrible, horrible, manipulative people, which is obviously not true, but they can be incredibly damaging for the person that it's done to, because the manipulative person by nature is obviously really good at manipulating other people. So often when they do this, other people will believe the lies. You can see that her attempt at the smear campaign was pretty vast, and she brought up like so many examples from, you know, way back when, and just kind of just irrelevant shit really. So with smear campaigns, they can be quite extensive, and that's a good example from CreepShow art. You can see the length that she went to in terms of like going way back in history, which doesn't look well for the whole stalker thing. But going way back and finding all this irrelevant shit, basically, as if everyone is perfect, you know? And then using that against Emily Artful. It just kind of, it's a really good example of how extreme that can be, you know? And then when you think that this is a smear campaign to millions of people at one time, that's pretty intense. So you can see why she prepared for that for quite a few months before she actually released the video. And if you ever find that in your personal private life, if you feel like someone is, a manipulative person is trying to enact a smear campaign against you, the best thing to do, as always with manipulative people, is just not engage. Stay focused on whatever you can control. Hang around with people that you know care about you, love you, genuinely know who you are. But be prepared for the manipulative person to take on the role of the victim, you know, and accuse you of being X, Y, or Z, all the things that they did. So that's why having a really strong support network, if this happens, is actually really important, because it can literally turn like family members against each other. I'm really pleased that her attempt at a smear campaign was really, really poorly received. and no one really bought into it, and everyone could see it for what it was. It was really just a pile of shite that was compiled together and made to seem like it was this massive reveal, when really it was just nonsensical, boring, lengthy nonsense. And lastly, the return. So people are thinking, oh my god, like, will she return from this? In one of my other videos, I think it was in one of the comments, I predicted that she would, and that it would actually be around the 6-month mark, which is what happened. And the reason why I knew that would happen was one of two things. One of two things. She, first of all, there's a monetary value. So with YouTube, you have to post within 6 months, you have to have a video up within 6 months, or else you lose your monetization. So obviously for anyone, manipulative or not, money is a motivator. But number two, she's been attacked by someone, and manipulative people by nature are very defensive, super fragile egos. So they have to attack you back. And usually the attack is quite more significant than what you did to them initially. They want to like tear you down and rip you to shreds to make you feel like you're worthless. So they gain control back over the situation, over you, and they get fuel from your response, from you being upset, from you being hurt. So with this example, and the video probably didn't go the way that CreepShow thought it would go. However, she still got loads of negative fuel, as I was saying before, and she will find other ways to gain control over Emily. And that will more than likely be making another video, or it will be like tarnishing her reputation to her like close family, close friends, or people she knows, or finding other modes to do that, whether it's fake accounts or yada yada. There'll be some way that she will be able to tear her down indirectly or directly to gain control back over the situation. So it doesn't matter that the video wasn't successful in the way that Shannon thought it would be, because she will still find a way to get what she initially wanted back, which was the control, which was the fuel. Because Emily's first video was a threat to her control, to CreepShow's control over the situation and over Emily. Sorry if that's a bit confusing, but hopefully it makes sense. So she will return, but we just don't know in what capacity. But because, like I was saying, with the monetary side of things, I feel like she's probably not going to want to let YouTube slide in terms of the income from that. So I would be shocked if she didn't make a video again, within the 6-month time period. May not be about Emily, but I think she will make another video. Well guys, I hope that was in some way informative and interesting, and maybe a little bit different from the videos that come out. I always find them quite kind of repetitive, and people just repeat the same things again and again. No shade though, everyone makes videos because they enjoy making them, so fair play. But I just want these ones to be from a different angle, just to be a little bit different, and to help people be aware of what manipulative tactics look like when they play out. There's lots of other examples of manipulative tactics in my previous videos. So yeah, check those out if you're interested in knowing more. So the take home point is, if you unfortunately are around a manipulative person and they're engaging in these manipulative tactics with you, stay back, don't engage, as hard and as difficult as that is. Surround yourself with a support system of people that genuinely know you and care about you, and they know what you're like as a person, and look after yourself. And that might mean finding a therapist who is experienced in dealing with manipulative people and the abuse that they inflict. That's really important. So if you do want to find a therapist because you've been a victim of, say, narcissistic abuse, find a therapist who specializes in narcissistic abuse. Don't just go to any of them, because you might end up in a place where you go to one, and if the therapist isn't experienced in narcissistic abuse, they might be asking you to reflect on your behaviors to see what you may have done wrong in the situation, which is incredibly damaging, because you've done nothing wrong. You're actually the victim of significant emotional and psychological abuse. So that's really key. Well guys, I hope that's helpful and sheds a bit of light in a way maybe that other videos haven't. And my next video is going to be on the Tinder, oh my God, I couldn't even say it there. The Tinder swindler. So yeah, check that out. It's going to be pretty interesting because I hypothesize that he is a psychopath and, well, has antisocial personality disorder because of the complete lack of empathy around his victims. But I'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And I feel quite passionately about victims of like manipulative abuse, because often people disregard them or dismiss them, or like those women from the Tinder swindler get abused for being stupid. How could you send him all this money and blah blah blah. But there's so many things at play when someone is that intensely manipulative that, you know, the victims get blamed for being the victim of pathological abuse. It's just like, it blows my mind. So I want to you know, spread awareness with that. So that will be the next video. If that is your type of thing, I hope to see you next time. And yeah, I hope you find this video useful. Bye guys.